individual, and you talk about these 5 essential skills.
That's right. That's right.
In order to effectuate or leverage or utilize not only the situational knowledge that expresses itself in relationships, but the relationships themselves. What are those 5 essential skills that you talk about in this book?
Yeah, absolutely. So relational intelligence is the ability to successfully connect with people and build strong, long-lasting relationships. So different from EQ or some of the other intelligences you spoke about. And the 5 skills really focus on the stages of how you build a relationship. And so the first skill is establishing rapport. And David, this is really the ability to use energy to create a positive initial connection with another person. So you think about things like making a good first impression, finding common ground, using verbal and nonverbal behaviors to engage with people. So it's really the first step to building a successful relationship. The second skill is understanding others. And this is the ability to be intentional about getting to know people on a deep level. So this is where your EQ comes into play. Active listening also is important. Being curious and inquisitive, asking people questions, getting to know them, and really showing empathy. So that's the second skill. The third skill is embracing individual differences. And this is the ability to be authentic in acknowledging and accepting that people come from different backgrounds and experiences. So we think about authenticity. In the business world, we think about diversity of thought. How can you bring people who are different, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, to the table to create ideas, which really drives inclusive cultures and work environments. The fourth skill, which is the most important, is developing trust. And this is really the ability to be vulnerable and risk being exposed to the actions and behaviors of others. And so you think about things like having deeper self-awareness. We call it the mirror test at our firm. It's the underlying aspects of trust, things like commitment, consistency, character, and courage. And then it's this idea that we've developed called intentional generosity. It's living with a deposit mindset and wanting to sow, I use the farmer analogy, but sow into the lives of others and have a valuable contribution to their growth and development. And then the last skill is cultivating influence. And we define this at the firm as the ability to have a positive and meaningful impact on the lives of others. So you talk about mentoring, you talk about coaching, you talk about really giving consistent feedback. So it's all around the aspects that help people develop and grow.
And you know, there's an interesting thing that I want to talk about with relationships and the side of that intelligence. And it's the snapshots or the meanings that we give to defining moments of the past in lifetime relationships. So a lot of people have difficulties that I coach, and for even myself, that, you know, we have to learn. So we do things out of our character today, meaning that, you know, when I was 11, I was very poor and I stole money out of my mom's purse. And that is not something I'm proud of.
Sure,
but it's something I did. But yet I still have a relationship with my mom, but my siblings have that as a snapshot, an inflection point of my character. Now, I'm 54 years old, and I've forgiven myself, but I'm using this as a hyper-exaggerated example.
Sure.
How do we deal with the past indiscretions, mistakes, failures that we make that are indicative of a past characteristic which we hopefully have learned and matured from, but yet other people judge us, put conditions on? Are we better off moving away or moving on? Or how do we deal with that type of relationship if it's, you know, someone that's an old friend or a relative?
Yeah, it's a great question, Dave. And I have some very personal experience in my own family around this, but I think, you know, people evolve and grow over time. And so if I look at my own life, I was a very different person I was at 25 than I am now at 41. And so 25, I was much more selfish, self-centered. I damaged some relationships with siblings and family members. And, you know, I think anyone listening, you know, you have to be continuously evolving and growing. And so the last 15 years, I've evolved in terms of how I treat people, how I engage with our clients, with our customers. And so I think as a leader, as someone running a business, if you don't have people around you that have an evolving mindset or are lifelong learners, the people that may not change their minds or hold grudges or stuck in certain ways, I think you have to be able to detach and kind of set boundaries with those type of relationships. I look at the relationship I have right now with one of my brothers, and it's in a bad place right now because he still has a mindset of who I was at 25 and some of the indiscretions that I did there. So as someone who's a leader, if you can't separate from that, maybe it's just about creating some strong boundaries where you can say, hey, this is where I am today. This is who I am. If you want to be accepting of that, that's great. If you don't, then, you can kind of do what you need to do with that.
Yeah. Also understanding and forgiving yourself.
Yeah.
Not, I lean into other people's opinion of me. When someone will say, oh, I ran into your college roommate.
Yeah.
Face that, hey, that's not the Dave Meltzer. That story that your college roommate told me is not the Dave that I'm paying a shitload of money to teach.
Yeah.
But for that David Meltzer, that was, my college roommate, for going bankrupt, but for all the different messages that I received by the mistakes that I made, you would be paying, because I have experienced that. And in that comes that forgiveness. And I do think that it's important for people, hurt people. And else not get over the hurt. People love to go to blame, shame, and justification. It's amazing how much control and power I have over some people's lives when I hear about the blame, shame, and justification of why they're not to be. So in that, though, we give meaning to the defining moments and inflection points. But we also have to forge new relationships that feed us.
Yeah, that's right.
How do we put ourselves into the situation to be around the right people and the right ideas, so that we don't waste our time, hiring bad people, getting mastermind groups, or watching the wrong. How do we pick the relationships moving forward?
Yeah, it's a really great question. I think there's really three things. I think the first thing is you have to get it aligned on your values. What are the values that you live by now as an entrepreneur, as a business owner? And then can you attract and retain people who have those similar values? I look at the work we do here at our firm, Bandelli & Associates, and I've built a team of people who are multicultural, multi-ethnic, who believe in the same values as the team. The second piece is vision. You have to be able to set a vision for what you want your team to follow and achieve. And so at the firm here, we've set a vision around relational intelligence, of how it can have a positive impact on the business world. And I've surrounded myself with people who have unique areas of expertise that I don't. For one example, I have a woman on my team who leads our executive education and learning practice. And she was brought into the firm to really build out a training platform for us around relational intelligence. And so again, values, vision. And then I think the third thing is you have to have people who are selfless. We're big proponents here about servant leadership. And so it goes to this idea about having a deposit mentality. You want to be giving and contributing to your people, to your clients, to your customers. And so those three things are really critical.
Yeah, I love the relationship intelligence and inspiration. Three of the truths, the potentials that we have, and we have to figure out what we're doing to interfere with it. I will say that I'm looking forward to reading the book in relationship intelligence, because relativity of, for example, the past is our relativity to the meaning that we give our past. The relativity to the present is in the relativity of time, believe it or not. It's only man construct. And more importantly, the relativity of the future is our own self, this idea of intelligence, intuition, and inspiration. And it seems as if the alignment of what I'm learning and researching every day is aligned and synergistic to the 5 skill sets that you talk about in relationship intelligence. Your practice is forging ahead and amplifying that as well, helping other people. Where can people join you and look for the information on your firm and find your book?
Absolutely. So the book is available now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, and everywhere books are sold. We are revamping our website. It's going to be launched this week, BandelliAssociates.com. That's Bandelli, A-N-D, Associates.com, where your listeners can find information about our book. We've also developed the relational intelligence test. So in a couple months, David, I'll be able to give you a test and tell you what your relational intelligence is today. And then we've built out a 2-day immersive experience called the Relational Intelligence Experience, where we take CEOs and senior teams through the 5 skills. We put them into some practical exercises. You mentioned a moment ago, kind of the moments that make up who you are. We have an exercise called Moments That Matter, where leaders get to explore life experiences, successes and setbacks and failures that have shaped who they are. And so it's a really dynamic, powerful experience to have leaders go through this and learn together.
I love it.